So a few years ago, I learned about a Dutch cultural practice called dropping. Have any of you ever heard about that? Okay. It goes like this. For generations, Dutch parents and caregivers, when their child reaches the age of around 11 or 12, blindfold them without warning, put them in their car around 10 p.m. on a summer night so that the weather is fair, and drive them anywhere from 5 to 10 miles out and drop them off in the deep woods with a few other 11 or 12-year-olds and then drive away. And then they wait to see how long it takes for them to find their way home. Yeah. No cell phones. Some parents will mercifully give them a compass or a crude map, but remember that the kids have been blindfolded and have no idea where they are. Some report it taking 4 to 5 hours. In comes your 11-year-old at 2 or 3 in the morning. Others all night and into the late morning. It's been described as a rite of passage, a quote-unquote beloved childhood tradition, and something that the adults look back on with gratitude. Something that many report as being an event that they've drawn resilience and purpose and strength and meaning from, that shaped the course of their whole lives. Aren't different cultural norms and practices fascinating? I mean, could you imagine doing this in the States? When my husband and I found out about this, we laughed so hard, we had tears coming down our eyes trying to imagine our daughters being dropped off in the middle of the woods, like traumatized for life. No way would they ever find their way home. Social services would be called, right? The point: to honor the marking of a child entering adolescence, droppings offer a formative, empowering exercise of turning towards and trusting in one's own inner intuition and voice. Something tells me it's this way. I have a feeling I should turn right. Let me get my bearings. That's what it takes. You know it. Now, many cultures and civilizations for thousands of years, they've treasured rites of passages like this, vision quests and the like, where all the outside authority voices of parents and adults are removed. Those trusted leaders who tell us which way to go, how to best get there, encourage us, console us, and, as is often the case, unintentionally keep us from accessing our own intuitive voices and trusting in them. When all the outside help and guardrails are gone, when you strip away all that society and culture tells you about who you are or who you should be or which direction you should go and whether it's the right one or the wrong one, what then? I've spent much of my life trying to answer those questions. I think we all do, in one way or another. How to look for and listen to and know it when we hear it or feel it, or heed that still small voice inside that knows how to get us where we are meant to be. It does. Now, many theologians and psychologists, philosophers, see this as human beings' longing and need in every human life to discover our true self, that deep, deep soul place inside that lies beneath all the neuroses that life can pile on, beneath all the things that our cruel world tells us about ourselves or about our identities. That place that knows the beautiful truth about you. The blueprint tucked away in the cellular cell of your being that makes you authentically, perfectly you. And this you knows where it needs to go, whom to go with, and how to get there. It's your built-in homing device, or divine GPS. We've all got it. Life seems to me to be a series of encounters and events that are literally inviting us towards getting better and clearer glimpses, just glimpses of this true self of ours, who we really, really are. Now, some of us know this true self as our gut, right? I'm following my gut on this one, we say. Or we say things like, listen to your heart. Others call it their intuition or a feeling. I don't have a good feeling about this. I don't know why. Sometimes we get a tingling feeling in our bodies or some other stirring that defies logic. But how many out there have looked back on a situation and known that your body was trying to tell you what to do? I like to call it that still small voice inside. I like to call it the home of my soul. And yes, I like to call it God. I have lots of words for it, and I'm sure I'll come up with more and ditch a lot of them too on the way. Now, our humanist forebearers, they offer us so much wisdom to draw from here. They emphasize the divinity that is simply being a human being, the divinity within. Religious humanists believe that we are spiritual beings who must come to trust our deepest feelings and wisdom, that we all have this blessed spark within. Every child is born with it. They brilliantly challenged and bravely and boldly challenged the theologies of their day and to this day that claim the need for some outside deity to tell us about what we should feel, where we should go, how to get there, who we truly are, some overbearing parent God that decides if we are good or we are bad. This poorly interpreted, crude and obtuse theology has kept us from ourselves. And we are seeing the consequences of this play out in our world right now. I'm going to not mince my words when I say that there is a correct interpretation and a healing hope of good religion and theology and spirituality that guides us towards the truth that life is a blessed and strange journey of, yes, forgetting ourselves and getting lost and discovering and forgetting and rediscovering and redefining over and over again that still small voice within that was with us all along. That's what it's all about. Refinding that still small voice that was with us all along. The true self. As our poet today says, this is the place where I stand. This is the place where even the gods speak of God. And this is not an easy task, this human life journey of discovering and rediscovering and finding the still small voice inside. It is often hard to access, let alone heed. And many of our childhood stories and pains, or the bodies and beings we've grown up in, have us not knowing how to trust it when we do hear it. We all know something about the fears of, say, making the wrong choice, or disappointing people, risking rejection or outright abandonment. And it's also hard to fully trust this voice because, let's be honest, sometimes that inner compass and gut hasn't always landed us in the best situations. I've listened to my gut and been wrong about people and about situations. I have followed my intuition, which has at times just been about my own self-interest or comfort or unconscious bias and prejudice, which I only recognized after the fact. I've embarked on so many different career paths before ministry, and each one was inspired and moved by what felt very real, like a deep inner knowing, only to leave me at a dead end yet again. It would be easy for me to say I don't want to trust that inner voice anymore. I can't count how many times I have gotten my family lost or been lost myself because I had a feeling we should turn left. So this leaves me with an important question. How can any of us trust ourselves when we know that we've gotten it wrong so many times? My answer is this. Following the wisdom of that still small voice within isn't about getting it right every time. Trusting that deep seat of soul is knowing that sometimes we need to get lost in order to be found. Sometimes messes need to happen to help us learn some things about who we really are and where we need to go next. And that no matter what, we will find a way to be okay. In this sense, trusting the deep, wise, true self within will always get you where you need to be. Maybe not where you want to be, but where you need to be. I am often asked how I know when I'm on the right path or how I make life decisions. And it's hard to find words because it all comes down to a deep feeling for me. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, a feeling that often is beyond logic or reason or even at times common sense. I know I'm on the right path when I feel like 1,000 pounds of weight has been lifted from my back. That is one of the measuring sticks I apply. So it's like a feeling of relief, or like I can breathe. And it is a feeling of have to, right? I have to do this. I have to try this, like risk-taking. I'm going to take this chance. And it's a feeling of that no matter what happens, how uncomfortable this might be, or painful, or rife with challenge, that I'm going to be okay. And that's the weight lift. I'm going to be okay. I don't know how, but I'm going to be okay. More than okay. I'm going to be wiser, and I'm going to be more myself. Feeling like we are being guided by ourselves is a relief. And my friends, there are a myriad of practices that I employ and take very seriously to arrive at this 1,000 pounds has been lifted place, or this relief place. Centering prayer is one of them. Meditation, Sabbath taking, writing, therapy, more therapy, more therapy, spiritual direction, 12-step recovery work, time in nature to lie down, the wild things. These are spiritual disciplines that help me to access the still small voice within, that help me to trust it no matter what comes. And I know you have a variety of practices. I never prescribe that one practice is a one-size-fits-all. All of us can cultivate trust in ourselves. We can. It's a muscle. And even when it atrophies or is eroded, it can be regenerated or built back up in strength. And if you can't seem to access it, all this means is that you need to double down on your practices or find new ones or talk to someone and say those magical, best prayerful words I can ever imagine, help. This is all masterclass stuff. So please hear me. Don't go down a shame rabbit hole because you aren't there yet. It's a journey. It's a treasure hunt. And you are here now, searching for it and discovering it and sharing about it and asking for help in it. You're here. This is what church is for, right? Isn't this why you've brought your children here too? To know about finding one's deep and beautiful voice within and trusting it, maybe more than you could yourself. Isn't that the wish you have? Aren't you here to tell us about it or to learn from others and lean on friends when you can't find it? Isn't this why we give? Isn't this why we serve? From a place of finding and nurturing the true self within? Isn't this, as the Hokey Pokey song tells us, what it's all about? Putting our whole selves in and shaking it all about? I think it is. I know it is. Let's listen to David White's beautiful words again. What a title. Self-portrait. Self-portrait. It doesn't interest me if there is one God or many gods. I want to know if you belong or feel abandoned. If you know despair or can see it in others. I want to know if you are prepared to live in the world with its harsh need to change you. If you can look back with firm eyes saying, this is where I stand. I want to know if you know how to melt into that fierce heat of living, falling toward the center of your longing. I want to know if you are willing to live day by day with the consequence of love and the bitter, unwanted passion of your sure defeat. I have been told in that fierce embrace, even the gods speak of God. Our work as human beings on a spiritual path, my dear friends, is to, at the end of it all, fall toward the center of ourselves and our longings. Find our ways towards this is where I stand. Faithfully and unapologetically risk getting it all wrong, getting lost and turned around so that we might again and again settle down into the depths of ourselves to listen to the sacred voice that has always been there to guide you, to catch you, and to lead you home, no matter how far you have been dropped away from it. It has always been there, and it always will be there, my beloveds. May you know this. Amen, and blessed be.